All right, Earth Girls Are Easy. This movie is another one of those movies that was one of the first Jim Carrey movies that he ever made. I think this one's out of print because it's like the artisan title, but I'm not that sure. Easy Money, definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a super classic Rodney Dangerfield movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. He basically can get easy money by the mother of Robert Rodney Dangerfield's wife if he doesn't smoke, drink, or gamble. So it's like impossible for Rodney Dangerfield to do that in like a year. He has to like go without smoking, drinking, or gambling for a year. And of course, Joe Pesci is his best friend in this movie, which makes the movie all that much better. But it's definitely a classic for your comedy collection. Ed TV, horrible movie, horrible movie. Not gonna watch that one again. Eddie, I liked this movie when it came out. I still like it to this day. She ends up winning. She like shoots a basket at a Knicks game, and she makes the basket, so she gets to coach the team for the rest of the year. And it's just a great movie. This is one of the best Whoopi Goldberg movies out there, besides like Sister Acts. Empire Records. I used to like this movie a lot, but I'm kind of over Empire Records, to be honest. Employee of the Month. I actually really enjoyed this movie. This was a really good movie. Liked this one a lot. Employee of the Month. This one wasn't that good. Steve Zahn's in it. Matt Dillon's in it. Christina Applegate. It's okay. It's not that good. Let's see. Envy with Ben Stiller and Jake Black, where they invent the uh, invisible poop spray, where the dog takes a crap and they have this spray to make it disappear, so you don't have to pick it up. I like that one though. Eight Crazy Nights. Saw this movie in the movie theater when it came out. It was like Thanksgiving, I think, the day that I saw this in the movie theater with the family. It was a pretty funny movie. 18 again. This movie's out of print from what I know. George Burns, great movie where it's one of those movies where the 18-year-old switches bodies. He's in the 80-year-old's body, and then the 80-year-old is stuck in the 18-year-old's body. I love movies like this. Classic must-have for your comedy collection. Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag, great movie about where Joe Pesci is sent to get eight heads, and he misplaces a bag with someone on the airplane or something like that, and he has to go retrieve the bag the people who have his bag with the eight heads in it. Great movie. David Spade's in it. Real funny. Election. This movie's okay. I used to like it when it came out, but I'm kind of over it. Elf. This movie is a definite classic. Love this movie. It's a great movie, man. I saw this one in the theater too, and it's just a great movie. I remember it. Encino Man, one of my favorite movies as a kid. I watched this movie tons of times. Have to have this in your comedy collection because it is a classic. One of the first Brandon Fraser movies he ever did as well. And also one of the first Pauly Shore movies he did. I think it's the second one he did because he did Son-in-Law and then he did this one. And then, of course, his first movie was that night Phantom at the Mall, which is like out of print, really hard to find. Woody Allen's Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex. I think this should be in my classics section. I don't know why this is in this. Yeah, it's 72. That doesn't go there. Evan Almighty. I should have did this one with Bruce Almighty so I could do both of them at the same time. Bruce Almighty, of course, is a better movie, but I liked Evan Almighty. This is a really good movie as well. And now you guys are going to see my freaking Ernest collection. Ernest is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's great. I love him. There's probably no other actor that I love more than not Chris Farley. I love Chris Farley too, but Jim Varney. They're both dead, so I don't know why I say Chris Farley. But Jim Varney is one of my favorites of all time. Definitely probably, he's just the best. I loved the Ernest movies as a kid. The first one I saw was Ernest Goes to Camp, and I fell in love with Ernest movies ever since then. And we'll start out with the earliest movie, which was Ernest Saves Christmas. Loves that original cover. Ernest Goes to Camp. Love that original cover. Also got the Blu-ray of that. Have to have it. Ernest Goes to Jail. Love it. Ernest Goes to Jail on Blu-ray. Ernest Scared Stupid. Great movie. Slam Dunk Ernest. This one's, I think, out of print now. But it is a great movie. I absolutely love this movie. Love it. He gets the magic shoes and all that. And that was out of place. Uh-oh, my OCD's going nuts. Oh, no. Should have did that one before. Ernest Goes to Africa. This is the second to last Ernest movie he ever made. I like Ernest in the Army a little bit better than Ernest Goes to Africa. I remember both these movies came out around the same time. This was actually the last Ernest movie that he did. Except he was doing a movie called Ernest the Pirate, but he died in the making of the film, so it never was really released. I would have loved to see that movie. And then I got the Ernest Goes to School. This one came out between, this one came out after Slam Dunk Ernest, I believe. But I like this one as well. This is a good movie right here. Ernest Goes to School. Ernest Rides Again is only available on tape. The DVD goes for like $250 by itself. But I have Ernest Rides Again in this 4-pack. 4-pack with the greatest hits and all that. I'm an Ernest fan for sure. And yeah. Those are my Ernest movies. And it's really hard to hold the camera like with one hand and then do this with your other hand. So I keep watching the videos and I'm like, oh man, it was like this or it was like this. And I get really pissed off because it takes a lot to make these videos. But we are going to go through about 900 comedy movies in my collection. Close to 950 actually. So this will be the ultimate comedy collection for YouTube. That's what I'm shooting for. I know I haven't seen anybody do this many freaking comedy movies. So I better stop talking and keep going. Excess Baggage with Alicia Silverstone. This wasn't that good of a movie. I've Clueless, Blast from the Past. This movie was, it was okay. It wasn't that good. Probably still going to keep it just because it's Alicia Silverstone in the 90s. Far Out Man with Tommy Chung. This movie's okay. It's Tommy Chung. It's no Cheech and Chong movie. Father's Day, one of my favorite movies of all time, takes place in San Francisco, city that I live in, city that I love. Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, great movie. They both are fighting over the son or whatever. Who's the father of this son that runs away? The mother calls both of them, I think, and tells them that they're the father so that she can make those two go out and look for the son. Great movie, one of my favorites. Father and Scout. I love this movie, man. I don't know why I love this movie as much as I do. Maybe it's the kid in me, but I absolutely love this movie. It is a great movie. I just love it, man. You don't see movies like this anymore. I love it. It kind of reminds me of Bushwhacked. It's just one of those type of movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Classic movie. Have to have this in your movie collection. Fever Pitch with Drew Barrymore, kind of a romantic comedy movie about baseball. 50-50. I think this is the movie where he acts like he has cancer, but he really doesn't. I can't remember. I gotta rewatch this one. It's a good movie though. 51st Dates. Saw this in the movie theater, I think. Pretty sure I saw this in the movie theater. It's a good movie. I like that one. Fighting Temptations. Not that good. Finding Amanda. I really like this movie. This is where Matthew Broderick's like a gambling addict, alcoholic, and then he goes and tries to find his niece or something like that, and he ends up like gambling again. It's a really good movie. I really like this one. This is a really good Matthew Broderick like newer movie, because a lot of the newer ones are horrible, but it's still Matthew Broderick. First Sunday, I like this movie. This is a pretty good movie. I enjoyed this one a lot. The First 20 Million, still haven't watched this one yet. It's got a Rosaria Dawson in it, however you say her name, and the guys from Mallrats. It's an okay movie. Still got to watch it. Looks pretty good. I know I might have saw it though. First Wives Club. I just got this because it's an all-star acting cast. It's not a movie I'd probably watch, but it's totally 90s, and it's got Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, and Bette Midler in it. Not saying I'm a Bette Midler fan, but she was good in like the 80s, though, in really her younger days. Fisher King. This movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. It was my favorite movie even when it came out and I was a kid, and I used to sneak and watch this movie when it was on HBO. And it was just such a great movie because Robin Williams plays a homeless guy who his life is just a mess. His wife was shot in a robbery when they were eating like at a restaurant, and he just quits teaching. He just becomes a homeless guy, and then Jeff Bridges has something to do with like the murder or something like that, and they become friends and all that. And definitely a classic movie. Definitely more of a comedy drama than a comedy though. Definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Folks, I love this movie. This movie's worth some money too because it's out of print. Love it. Have to have that in your movie collection. This is a new movie that I plan on watching. I haven't watched it yet, but it's Five Flights Up with Morgan Freeman and Diane Keaton. Looks like a good movie. Foolish with Eddie Griffin and Master P. I used to like this when it came out, but probably not going to watch this again. For Rich or Poor, another movie that's out of print. Jack Lemmon and the dude that was in Weekend at Bernie's. I think it's him. 40-Year-Old Virgin. This is 40-Year-Old Virgin. Classic movie. Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon. Definitely a great movie. This reminds me of Christmas with the Cranks. It's that same kind of feel. Love it. Great movie. The Foursome. Horrible. Don't watch it. For Love of Money, this movie's pretty good. It's a 90s Michael J. Fox, so it is a good movie, but not one of his best. Foxes with Jodie Foster. This movie's also out of print, and it's a younger Jodie Foster movie, kind of more of a comedy drama. Fred Claus, another Christmas movie. I love this movie, man. This is a great movie. Paul Giamatti's in it as well. It's just a great movie. And I think I'm practicing a lot better because I'm getting better at holding the camera. Before it was like or like this. That's really annoying to watch that. So I try to hold it perfect for you guys and girls. Freddy got fingered. Well, Freddy didn't get fingered, but he makes up this lie where he gets fingered. One of my favorite movies of all time, definitely hands down. I couldn't tell you how many times I watched this. This came out when I was like 18, and I remember I saw it in the movie theater, and I was able to see it because I just turned like 17 or 18, so I was able to see it without having an adult with me, and I just loved it. Loved it. One of the first R-rated movies I was able to see in the theater alone. The Freshman. This is a pretty funny movie. Totally 80s Matthew Broderick. Friends with Money. Horrible movie. Probably not going to watch this one ever again. Alright, next up. Frisco Kid with Harrison Ford. This movie I couldn't really watch. I haven't really gave it a chance either. I just kind of got it because it has Harrison Ford in it and wanted to have every movie with Harrison Ford. But I don't know if I'm ever going to watch this one. I should give it a try though. Gene Wilder's in it as well. Fun with Dick and Jane. Great movie. I like this movie a lot, man. They're robbing banks, robbing stores, but they're kind of bad at doing it. That's all I'll say. It's a great movie, though. Have to have that in your comedy collection. Also, have to have Funny About Love in your comedy collection, because this is a really good Gene Wilder one. I remember that when I was a kid, I would go to the movie store, and my parents didn't let me rent this movie because it was like PG-13, and I really wanted to watch it. And I was like, there's a baby on the cover. It's got to be like a kids-friendly movie, but they just wouldn't let me watch it back then. Funny People with Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen. I don't like this movie because it's more like reality than like a movie. And I'd rather like see kind of like a movie with Seth Rogen and Adam Sandler. But it's still Adam Sandler movie. The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. This movie's out of print. Pretty good. I like that one. Old school Robert De Niro. Get Hard. This movie was okay. I watched it once. I'm probably not going to watch it again, to be honest. Get Over It with Sisqó, back when Sisqó was the man. Back when Enter the Dragon came out, and this one came out when he went solo and had that Sisqó album that I used to really be into when I was a kid. I was like 15 when this movie came out, but I really enjoyed it. just because I was a Cisco fan back then. Get Shorty. I never really liked this movie, so I just didn't like this movie. Getting Away with Murder. I think this one's out of print as well, and I got it because of Jack Lemmon. Have to have every Jack Lemmon movie there was. I don't remember much about this movie, but I'm gonna have to rewatch this one. And Ghostbusters, I got the Steelbook. This is one of the movies that I got on Black Friday. Ghostbusters movies are just the best. I loved them when I was a kid, and they're still the best. Because I'm such a Ghostbusters movies fan, I didn't even give the one with all the women in it a chance, and I'm probably never going to, just because I already know it's horrible compared to the original ones. But I love the Ghostbusters. I also have the double pack in that special set that I don't know where that is though. I'm not gonna look for it. Just believe that I have that one too. Ghostbusters Part 2. Cool cover. That's my cat throwing up a hairball in the background, if you heard that. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I thought it was out of print because it was Anchor Bay, but I don't think it was. Definitely going to get rid of that movie. The Gods Must Be Crazy Part 1 and 2, out of print, worth some money. Loved this movie when I was a kid. I watched this when I was really young. This was one of those movies I was able to watch because it was like G rated. Going Overboard. I think this is the first Adam Sandler movie that he made. Pretty horrible, but it's his first movie. Going Places with the guy that was in My Father the Hero, Gerard Dubarty, however you pronounce that. One of his first movies. Gone Fishing. Watch this one with my grandpa, and it's great. I love this movie. I remember I rented it, and I actually got my grandfather to watch it with me, and we enjoyed this movie together. He enjoyed it for some reason. I didn't think he would enjoy it, but he did. It's just a great movie. Really clean. It's PG, so it's like really good for kids to even watch this movie too. Good Advice with Charlie Sheen. It's pretty horrible, but I think it's out of print. Here's one you don't really see or hear about too often. Good Fences with Whoopi Goldberg and Danny Glover. It's okay. It's not that good. Good Burger. Love this movie when I was a kid. Awesomeness going on with this movie. Love it. Have to have it. Good Luck Chuck. This movie, I didn't like this movie. I liked Employee of the Month a lot better. And I don't know why I'm even saying Employee of the Month. This and Employee of the Month are kind of similar. I don't know why. They just kind of are. But I like Employee of the Month. I'm probably going to get rid of that one. Grand Theft Parsons with Johnny Knoxville. This movie's pretty horrible. I'm just being honest. Grandma's Boy. I saw this before it came out in the movie theater. I had like a special pass to see this movie before it came out, and I loved it. Great pothead movie. Great Outdoors. One of my favorite movies of all time. Dan Aykroyd, John Candy. They go on John Candy goes on this, outdoor like camping trip, and then the brother, I think, is Dan Aykroyd, and he kind of messes everything up because John Candy's just trying to have a good vacation with his family. He doesn't really have much money, and Dan Aykroyd comes along and tries to mess up the vacation with because he has all the money, he's rich, and it's a really good message movie, I should say, because it's like he just cares about money and all that. I remember they're making hot dogs and all that, and Dan Aykroyd kind of messes it up. He's like, why are you eating those, what was it? Lips and assholes or something like that. It's a great classic movie. And the part when he blows the bear's butt off and you see the bear running away with his butt showing is just a classic part of this movie. Love this movie, man. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Girl Next Door. This movie, I don't know, man. This movie wasn't that good to me. I don't even know why I have it. I remember I got this movie at Goodwill, and I don't know. I didn't like this movie. I'm just gonna say it. It's a horrible movie. I wasn't really into that movie. The Grand, another horrible movie, but I like it because it's about gambling and poker and cards and all that. think it is. That's why I got it. Looks like it was from the cover. The Grass Harp, this is definitely more of a comedy drama movie. I got it because of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. It's not really that watchable, but it's Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, two of my favorite actors. Have to have every single one of their movies in my collection. The Great New Wonderful, horrible. Gremlins Special Edition. The Gremlins movies are some of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely love the Gremlins movies. I can watch them over and over again. I got the Special Edition version right here, and I have that original cover. I love the original cover. The original artwork and the cover to Gremlins 1 and 2 was just the best, especially this one. The artwork on this is just, the cover is awesome. Artwork is awesome. I mean, I wish I could get the poster of this in my room. That would be pretty awesome. I'm saying awesome a lot for some reason. Gremlins 2, The New Batch. This movie was great, man. I just love both the Gremlins movies. The first one, of course, is better, but I enjoy Gremlins Part 2, The New Batch, and I think they're making a Part 3. I really am interested in seeing that one if it comes out. Gridded. Good movie with Kevin James. They're going around like selling stuff. It's okay. It's good. I like Kevin James. The Groomsmen. This is a pretty good movie. More of a comedy drama movie. These friends get together for the bachelor party, and then I remember John Leguizamo is the friend that is he doesn't want to tell his friends that he's gay, and they kind of give him a hard time for being gay. That's kind of what I remember about this movie. But I really like this one. This is a movie I've watched a few times. Love Donald Logue in that movie too. Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Great movie. Absolutely. This is a movie you can watch over and over and over again. The way that they wrote this movie, it's just there's a few movies you can watch over and over again, and this is one of those movies. I've seen this movie so many times. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. This should be in my romantic comedy movies, but it's still a comedy movie. Grown Ups, I got Part 1 and 2. Grown Ups Part 1 is great. Grown Ups Part 2 is great. These are just two great movies. And love the Grown Ups movies. Have to have those in your collection. Alright, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever. Haven't watched this movie yet. I got it in like a month ago when Christmas was happening. A month ago. I really want to watch this movie. You guys know me. I love cats. I'm the cat man. I'm Spy Cat. And I love cats. So can't wait to dig into this movie. Grumpy Old Men. I have Part 1 and 2. These are some of the best Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon movies that were ever made. I love this movie. They're older in these movies, but they're still great. And Margaret's in it. These movies are great, man. I absolutely love Grumpy Old Men. And I loved this when it came out. Even when I was really young and it came out, I still loved it because they're just hilarious. Grumpy Old Men. For some reason, I enjoy Grumpy Old Men more than Grumpy Old Men. I don't know why, but I just did. Guarding Tess, horrible. No need to talk about that. Guilt Trip. It's not horrible, but it's not a great comedy movie, but it's Seth Rogen and Barbara Streisand kind of makes a comeback in this movie. So it's still good, but it's not great. Half Baked. They're half baked. This movie is the original Weed movie. Besides like Dazed and Confused and High Times at Ridgemont High. This was like, well, Cheech and Chong movies were the original Weed movies, but in the 90s, this was the Pothead movie. Hanging Up. I got this movie just because it has Walter Matthau in it, and I have to have every movie with him in it. The Hangover Unrated. You know, it's a hangover. Those are great movies. I don't know why I don't have Part 2 and 3. Hannah and the Sisters, Woody Allen movie, more along the lines of a comedy drama. Let's see. Happy Texas with Steve Zahn. This is a good movie. I can't remember. Is this a movie that they pretend to be gay in? This is kind of like Chuck and Larry. Yeah, I think this is a movie where they pretend to be gay. Happy Endings with Tom Arnold, horrible. Happy Gilmore is one of the classics. Great movie. saw this movie in the movie theater, and it has the most cussing, but it's bleeped out, so it still is a great movie. It's this is a great movie, man. I remember when I saw this in the movie theater, I was like, wow, they cuss a lot in this movie. Can't believe that, you're thinking that they're going to take you out of the movie theater because it has so much cussing, but then it's like beeped out. So it's still okay on the cussing part. But it's one of the best Adam Sandler movies there is. Harold, haven't got a chance to watch this one. Couldn't tell you much about this one. Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it. And the 2000 Pothead movies were definitely the Harold and Kumar movies. I remember when the first one came out, I wanted to go get burgers for some reason. This is when I was just starting to smoke weed too. And you smoke, you watch this movie over and over and over again. And that's pretty much what these movies are for. Harold and Kumar Escape to Guantanamo Bay. Not as good as the first one, but still a great Pothead movie. And then, of course, I finally found A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, which was a good movie. I like this movie. I actually like this one better than the second one. Harry and the Hendersons. This is a great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. When I was a kid, I loved it. It's just great because we all knew about the Bigfoot story when we were kids growing up in the 80s and 90s. And when this movie came out, I just loved it because it made Bigfoot not be that scary when you were a kid. Because as a kid, the thought of Bigfoot was kind of scary. You would go on camping trips. You would think Bigfoot's out there to get you and all that. And Harry and the Hendersons kind of made Bigfoot like a happy, fun, kids-friendly friend type of character. So they basically hit Bigfoot with their car, and they take him home thinking he's dead, and then he's alive, and they become friends and all that. Friend of the family, and it's just a great movie. Love this movie. One of the best 80s movie of all time. Definitely, I love that one so much. A Haunted House. I like this one. I like the Haunted Houses movies. They're great. I like them. And then I have Haunted House 2. I love that Gabriel Iglesias is in this one. It's a great movie. Even though he's not in it that much, it's still the parts that he's in it. He's freaking Gabriel Iglesias. He's great. Head of State, horrible. I didn't like it. Health Inspector, Larry the Cable Guy. I think this was his first movie. It's good. It's a good movie. I like Larry the Cable Guy. Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy when she was bigger than she is now. I don't like that she lost like tons of weight. It's like she's all super skinny now and she has like a huge head. So it's like, I mean, you should have lost like a little weight, but not like movie star skinny because you have like a humongous head. So it doesn't look right. Yeah, but that's when she was like cool looking. Heaven Can Wait with who's in this one? I forgot who's in this one, but this is a really good movie. I liked this one a lot when I was a kid. Held Up. Gonna have to switch the case with this one because some of these names on it. Thank God it's not on the paper though, or that would have drove me crazy. But Held Up. This is kind of a forgotten about movie with Jamie Foxx. I love it though. It's a great movie. All right, next up, Holy Man with Eddie Murphy. This movie's okay. It's not that good. It's just kind of okay. I definitely like the Nutty Professor movies and other movies over that one. Holy Matrimony. This movie was in the dollar bin at I think the dollar store. It's okay. It's definitely super 90s. Home Alone, definitely one of my favorite movies of all times. This was the movie that you remember when you were a kid. Just all-star cast. This movie stands by itself. They didn't even need to make a part 2 to this movie, but I still enjoyed part 2, still watch part 2, probably more than I even watched the first one. But I remember this movie came out and it was just the best. I rented it over and over again. I don't think I ever owned this movie, but I remember renting it as a kid, like over and over again. Just a super, super classic. John Candy's got a short part in it. Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci are just great. And I recently got the limited edition Steelbook on Black Friday. And of course I have Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. To me, this one's better than Home Alone, the first one. I just remember watching this like way more than the first Home Alone. Home for the Holidays. This movie's okay. It's not that good. Robert Downey Jr. It's kind of more like a comedy drama. Hope Springs. I haven't watched this one yet, actually, but I need to watch this one. It's got a cool cast. Meryl Streep, Tommy Lee Jones. Horton Hears a Who. Not the best Jim Carrey movie for sure. I probably am not going to watch this one again. Hot Dog. I got this one at Goodwill because I knew it was out of print. I don't know what the value on this is. I think it sells at Amoeba for about $19.99, so I know it's out of print. Kind of a harder movie to find. I think it's from the 80s, early 80s, a year after I was born, 84. Hot Pursuit with John Cusack. I just got this movie. It's totally, I think it's 80s or maybe early 90s. Yeah, it's late 80s, 87. Couldn't tell you much about that one. Hot Shots 1 and 2. I never really liked these movies. I'm not going to talk about these because I didn't really like them that much. House Party 2. I don't know why I don't have House Party 1 or Part 3 or Part 4, but I have Part 2. Probably got it in the dollar bin. All those movies were funny when I was a kid. I used to watch all those. House Bunny. This movie was okay. It wasn't that good. I definitely liked her in the Scary Movies over the House Bunny. House Guest with Sinbad and Phil Hartman. This is definitely a movie you have to have in your comedy movie collection. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I remember that I saw this in the movie theater when I was a kid, and it was just the best, man. I don't know what happened to Sinbad, but he's Sinbad. He's like his own character, and like just like Ernest, I mean, he's his own character. He's like the best. Yeah, but this movie's just great. I mean, Sinbad's a house guest, and he's Sinbad. I mean, he's just the guy who like can never keep a job. He loses his girlfriend in the beginning of the movie, and he's just great. He's always playing like scratch offs, trying to win, and then finally he wins. It's just a great movie, man. I absolutely love this movie. If you're into comedies, and this is kind of like a family comedy, it's PG. It's the whole family can enjoy this one. It's just great. One of my favorite movies of all time. Howard the Duck. I remember when this one came out, I used to watch it, but I really didn't revisit this. I actually got this at Black Friday. I think it was only a couple bucks. But I need to rewatch this one. This is a good 80s classic right there. Humboldt County with the girl in The Craft. I forgot her name. I know she's from San Francisco. Haven't watched this one. I think this was in the dollar bin. It's a pothead movie. I Spy. Horrible. I Got the Hookup. This movie I actually watched in Juvenile Hall. For as crazy as that sounds, there was a few movies I watched in Juvenile Hall. This was one of them. I also watched The Players Club, The Edge, and I can't remember the other one I watched, but some crazy movies I watched in that place. But I Got the Hookup. It was cool when it came out. I'm probably not going to watch it again. I remember when I was younger, I watched this movie like a lot. I really liked this one. And I think this one's out of print too as well. I Love You, Philip Morris. I might give this one a try, but I only got this because it was like the only Jim Carrey movie that I didn't own in my collection, so I just had to get it for that. Couldn't tell you much about that one. I Love You, Man. This one's okay. It's not really something that you're gonna watch this movie one time and you're probably never gonna watch that one again. I Love You to Death with Kevin Kline and River Phoenix. This one's okay. William Hurt. I Think I Love My Wife. This movie is about he thinks he loves his wife. It has a good message, I remember. He like is about to cheat with this new like secretary at his job, and then it has a good message. Like he ends up like not cheating on his wife, and it's kind of Chris Rock is cool. Definitely like down to earth a lot better than that movie though. I'm Not Rappaport. Got this movie for Walter Matthau. I'm a big Walter Matthau fan. I haven't even watched that one. In Good Company. Absolutely horrible. in the Army now. I watched this movie tons of times when I was a kid. This movie rules. I loved it. Andy Dick, Pauly Shore, just a couple of losers, and then they join the Army, and it's a great fun movie, man. I remember I watched this over and over again. This is one of those movies that I definitely watched over 20 times when I was a kid because I just loved it. In and Out. I remember I saw this in school. They showed this movie. And it's funny. It's basically about Kevin Kline. He's a teacher. And the day that he gets married, he realizes or he thinks that he's gay. And then he wants to tell everyone about it. And it's like a small town. The whole town's like giving him a hard time because he's like coming out as being gay. It's a funny movie, man. You would never expect Kevin Kline to do like a role like this. Tom Selleck has a short part in this. It's a good movie though. I like that one. Internship. This movie's great. They work for Google, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. That's a good one. Invention of Lion with the dude from what's that ghost movie? I forgot. But this is kind of like a romantic comedy. I should have did this in my romantic comedy video. But this is a great movie, man. I really enjoyed this movie. This is basically about a guy who figures out how to lie. At the beginning of the movie, nobody lies. Everyone tells the truth. And then Ricky Gervais, however you say his name, comes up with the idea to lie. It starts off, he's at a bank, and then he says, oh no, my check's really this amount. And they give him the money, and then ever since then, he's able to lie. He's like the only person in the movie that's able to lie, and he kind of takes advantage of that, gets what he wants. Really funny movie. I really enjoyed that one. It's a boy-girl thing. I haven't watched this yet. This is kind of one of those like switch and roll type movies. I gotta watch that one. I've been meaning to watch that one. And here's a real role type of movie because you don't know, is Pat a girl or a boy? I don't know. That's pretty much what this movie's about. Nobody knows if he's a guy or a girl. It's just stupid Saturday Night Live fun stupidness, pretty much. It is a good movie. Tons of different actors are in that one too. It's kind of a funny story. Haven't watched this one yet. I think I just recently got this one. But Zach, the dude that was in The Hangover, he's in it, and he's in like a mental hospital. I've been meaning to watch that one. Jack. Saw this one in the movie theater. I saw this at a double feature with The First Kid, another Sinbad movie. And I loved it, man. It has a really sad ending. Like Jack, Robin Williams plays Jack, who's like, he's basically, he grows up really fast. So like the time he's like 15 years old, his body is like a 40-year-old man, and he's still going to school in high school, and he still has all the friends, but he's growing really fast. But it's a great movie. The girl from The Nanny's in it. Jack Goes Boating. Haven't watched this one. Got it on Black Friday. Couldn't tell you much about that. Hollywood had it. Why am I reading that? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'm kind of stupid. I know this movie. I used to love this movie. Saw this one in the theater. It's Jay and Silent Bob. It's, the few movies that they made, I think there's only like Mallrats, the Clerks movies, this one, Dogma. What's the other one? I can't think of the other one right now, but I'm sure you're going to see it. This is a great movie. I like the Clerks movies better than this movie, though. But this is still a good one. Jackass, the movie, speaks for itself. It's Jackass. They're pretty much like getting beat up the whole movie and doing stupid stunts. I have part 1 and I have part 2. Still haven't got part 3, and I think there's a part 4. All right, next movie, Jeff Who Lives at Home. I enjoyed this movie. This is basically about Jeff. He plays the brother that's kind of a screw up. He kind of doesn't know where his life is going, and he just is. He doesn't realize what he's on Earth for. He doesn't like know why he's here. He thinks his life is meaningless, and in this movie, he finds out what he's here for, and it has a really good ending in this movie. Like he was called to do like a really good task, a really good deed for someone in this movie. Good movie. I like that one. Jeffrey, never watched it. It's out of print. That's why I have it. I think it's like a real gay movie. The Jerk, I got the 26th anniversary edition. This is probably the only movie in history that is the 26th edition. But it's The Jerk. Steve Martin, he was raised by, I think it was like a foster home of black people, and he's just an idiot. And this is a classic movie. Must have this in your movie collection. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Jingle All the Way. Saw this one in the movie theater. This one has one of my other favorite actors in it, Sinbad, who, like I said before, I don't know what happened to Sinbad. I would really like to see him do more movies. He's awesome. But Jingle All the Way, this is a great movie. I loved this one when I was a kid. And then, of course, I have the second one with Larry the Cable Guy. That one's okay. Not as good as the first one. Joe's Apartment. This movie right here used to be my favorite movie of all time. I love it. It's Joe's Apartment, man. He's friends with a bunch of talking cockroaches. And I didn't even realize that. This is MTV's very first original movie. And I think this one's out of print, too. Joe Dirt, man. I love this movie. I love it. You know, when Chris Farley died, I kind of thought, like, I didn't even want to watch David Spade because I was like, without Chris Farley, it's not going to be a good movie. But Joe Dirt kind of proves that David Spade can be good on his own. And this is just a great movie. I watched this tons of times. Lots of butt humor in this movie. My kind of movie. Great movie. And man, I think it was like 10 years later that he did Joe Dirt 2, which I enjoyed this movie. I already watched this about 5 times. It's just one of those movies you can watch when you're stoned, and it's just hilarious. And I got the extended edition. I think I got that one on Black Friday because it's still in the package. Joe Somebody with Tim Allen, another great movie, one of my favorite movies. This movie, Tim Allen is like the dad, but he's like a dork. Everybody messes with him at his job. He gets kind of bullied around. And then one day he wants to prove to his daughter that he can stand up for himself. And he chooses to like fight like one of the bullies at his job to give the daughter like a life lesson or something like that. John Tucker Must Die. It was in the dollar bin. I don't know. Probably horrible. Johnny English. I didn't like this movie that much, to be honest. I'm more of a Mr. Bean movie fan than Johnny English. But some people like that movie. Johnson Family Vacation. This movie's pretty funny, man. I enjoyed this one. This is kind of more of a kid's comedy. Jumanji. Saw this movie twice in the movie theater. And man, I remember in the movie theater, all the kids were cheering. It was just so good, man. It was just, there wasn't a movie like this for like a while. And it's just a great movie. It's a great movie. You got to watch it if you haven't watched it. Junior, saw this one in the movie theater. I wasn't really into it when it came out, but I watched it like, I don't know, maybe like a year ago. And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good movie. There isn't a movie about a man who gets pregnant, except, what is that movie? I just showed you guys the Gene Wilder one where he's like, where he gets pregnant. I can't remember the name. Jury Duty, also saw this one in the movie theater. I don't like that this isn't the original cover. I love that original cover where he's like the Statue of Liberty. I like that cover a lot better, but this is another movie that I watched over and over and over again when I was a kid. I remember I bought the used tape of this at Blockbuster for like $20. I was so into this movie. He's basically a loser and he can't keep a job. He never probably had a job, lives in his trailer home with his parents. And one day he gets a jury duty notice and it just makes his whole world, because he thinks that he's like wanted to do something and stuff like that. And it's a good movie. It makes fun of 12 Angry Men, makes fun of a bunch of other like court movies, courtroom drama movies. Just Go With It with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. This is one of the bad Adam Sandler movies that he made. He had like a bad streak for a while, and like this was definitely one of those movies that wasn't that good to me. Didn't like it that much. But I want to have every Adam Sandler movie in my collection. Just Visiting. This movie is great. There's another movie called Visiting, I think. Visitors. And it's kind of like this movie. This is a movie that doesn't even get talked about that much. This is a great movie. These guys come back from like the past and then they're in the future and it's just great. Absolutely love this movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. Joanna Man. A lot of people say this was like a horrible movie, but I like this movie. He basically, for whatever reason, he like they don't want him to play basketball anymore for professionally, so he loves basketball, I guess, so much that he dresses up as a woman and plays in the women basketball league or whatever. Really funny movie. Tommy Davidson, he's great. Kangaroo Jack. Haven't watched this one yet. It was in the dollar bin. I heard it was pretty good though. I think Jack Black does a voice in that. I think. Kazam. We're genies. I loved this movie when I was a kid. Watched it tons of times. Rented it tons of times. This was like the movie when I was a kid. I don't know why, but this was like the movie when I was a kid. And it's got raps in it and everything. I kind of forgot that Shaquille O'Neal did like have like a little rap phase. I think he made like a couple albums too. But this was great when I was a kid. Keanu, I like this movie. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be because I love cats. It could have been a lot better. The reason why I didn't like it is because like the cat isn't in it that much. It's more like Key and Peele. But I would have liked to see more of the cat in this movie. Still was a funny movie though. Keeping Mum with, this is kind of a comedy drama. One of the last Patrick Swayze movies there was. You actually see Rowan Atkinson play kind of a dramatic role in this movie. He's not like stupid or like kind of dumb comedic in this movie. He's kind of more of a serious role. So it's kind of cool to see him do that. The Kids Are All Right. Haven't watched this movie. I think I got it in the dollar bin. I was really getting into Mark Ruffalo movies. So I got that one. Kicked in the Head. This was in the dollar bin. Haven't seen this movie, so I couldn't tell you much about it. Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. This movie was okay. It wasn't that good. Kindergarten Cop. One of my favorite movies of all time. Man, I couldn't tell you how much I love this movie, but I absolutely loved this movie when I was a kid. And I remember, like, in the beginning of the movie, it's really violent. And, like, there was a time, I think it was my parents. We watched, like, the first 15 minutes of it when I was a kid. We rented it and they like turned it off because like the beginning is like kind of like action violence. So I kind of had to like beg them, I think I remember, to like let me watch the rest of the movie, and then the rest of the movie was pretty funny. King Ralph. This movie's, it's 90s. I collect 90s. It's 90s. It's John Goodman, but it's not a good John Goodman movie. All right, Kingpin. Definitely one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I remember, what was I, like 15 when this movie came out? And it was pretty R-rated for being a PG-13 movie, I remember. It had some really, like, crude humor you wouldn't expect in, like, a PG-13 movie. But I loved it. It is super hilarious. One of the funniest Woody Harrelson, Randy Quaid movies ever. I love this movie, man. He's basically, Woody Harrelson is like an all-star bowling player, and then one day he gets in like, I think he's like ripping people off. He pretends he can't bowl to win like bowling matches and bets, and then people find him out, and then they break his arm, and then he kind of loses everything. And yeah, and then he meets Randy Quaid, and Randy Quaid is like a star bowler, except he's an Amish guy. So Woody Harrelson kind of shows him the dirty, sinful life of the world. Great movie, though. I absolutely love that one. Knucklehead. Haven't watched this one yet. I think it was in the dollar bin, but I do intend on watching that one. Gribbendorf's Tribe. Still haven't watched this one, but it's totally 90s. That's why I got it. L.A. Story. I remember I used to sneak and watch this. It was on HBO. And I was like happy to watch it because it was like PG-13 and I was like 9 or 10 years old or something. But like, it wasn't really interesting. And I watched it again and it still wasn't that interesting of a movie. It's pretty horrible. But I got it at Goodwill for like $1 and it's like in the package. So probably never going to watch that. Labor Pains with Lindsay Lohan before she went nuts. Or maybe it was after she went nuts, but it's labor pains. It's a pretty horrible movie. It's Lindsay Lohan. I do like The Parent Trap, the original one with Lindsay Lohan, though. Let's see. We got Ladies Man. This movie was pretty funny. Probably not going to watch it again, though. Ladybugs. This movie right here was one of my favorite movies. I love it, and I love that it has, I forgot his name. The guy that was in Sidekicks. Jonathan Brandis, that's his name, the guy that was in Sidekicks. He actually, I can't remember why he died. I think he hung himself. I know he committed suicide or he had an overdose. He was really like, it's funny because the roles that he played in movies, he was always like the down, depressed kind of character. Nobody ever likes him. He always has a hard time talking to girls. And I just loved him as an actor back then. I was a really big fan of his. And then I guess his real life was like that. He was like depressed. He was an addict and he ended up committing suicide, which is really unfortunate. But I love Ladybugs, man. That is the movie. But let's see. Lady Killers with Tom Hanks. This movie's pretty funny. I just remember this guy because he has like irritable bowel syndrome, so he's always like crapping in his pants in the movie. That's just hilarious. And then I got The Last Deal with Jack Nicholson. This is an out-of-print movie. Haven't watched this one. It's out of print. That's why I got it. I think it might have had a Blu-ray release, though. Las Vegas. This movie kicks butt. This is like one of those movies that was like pretty recent, and it was pretty good. I don't really like the recent movies with the old school like actors because they're usually horrible later on. But this movie was absolutely great, man. Fantastic, all-star cast. It's just great. A bunch of old guys trying to go to Vegas again. It's great. I really enjoyed that one. Legally Blonde. It was in the dollar bin. Horrible movie. I don't even know I have it. Part 2, because I'm a completist. Let's Go to Prison. This movie is super funny. Love this movie right here. Awesomeness going on. They go to prison. It's just great. Great, great, great. Love that one. Liar, Liar. I remember another movie that I had to like beg my parents to rent because it was PG-13. And finally they let me watch it. And I think they enjoyed it because it has a really good message to this movie. Even though it's Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey in the 90s was kind of risque for like kids to watch the movies because they were always PG-13. But this movie's great, man. I love it. I still watch it to this day. Still love it. And it's actually one of those PG-13 movies you could probably watch with your kids. It doesn't have that many inappropriate parts. Maybe like, when he's in the elevator with the girl and he's like, I want to squeeze him and all. Kind of stupid, but Life. This movie is great, man. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence basically get framed. I forgot for killing somebody, and they end up going to jail. And then the whole movie's about them being in prison. Wrongfully accused. It's definitely more of a drama than a comedy, though. Life as We Know It, dollar bin. Haven't gave that one a chance. Can't say if it's good or not. Like Father Like Son with Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains and Dudley Moore. I love the switcheroo type movies, the role reversal movies. Something happens and Kirk Cameron's an adult and then the dad is a kid and they have to go to the dad's going to the school. Kirk Cameron has to go in the office and like pretend he's like the dad. Kind of fun stupidness, man. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's out of print too. Little Man. You know what? There's a lot of good Marlon Wayans and Shawn Wayans movies. I don't know why I don't have Don't Be a Menace. I think I sold it for some reason. I've watched it too many times. But Little Man was horrible. White Chicks is the movie, but I didn't really like Little Man that much. All right, Little Miss Sunshine. This is more like a comedy drama. It's okay. It's not the best movie, but it's still pretty good. Little Rascals. Even though this is a family movie, I felt that I had to throw this in for the comedy movie collection. Just to kind of get close to like showing almost 1,000 comedy movies in these videos. Which, I don't know how many parts there's going to be because I'm only on L and this is like part 4. But I'm trying to go fast. The Little Rascals is great. I loved this movie as a kid. totally kid friendly of all ages. It's just, they did a really good job on this movie. And I remember I loved it when I was a kid. It just has all your favorite old time 90s kid actors in it that you don't really see anymore. I can't think of anyone that you see anymore in this movie. Little Shop of Horrors, I didn't like this because it was more of a musical movie. Rick Moranis. Living Out Loud, Danny DeVito, not that good. Local Hero, I just got this because I wanted to have every Burt Lancaster movie in my collection. It's definitely more of like a comedy drama or a black comedy. Look Who's Talking, I absolutely love this movie. I saw this in summer camp. My parents took me to like this, or it wasn't like summer camp where the kids are alone. It's like, I forgot what it was. It was like camp something, but like the parents went, and then like one of the movie nights with the whole like campsite, there was like tons of people. They threw this up on the big screen and it was just great. Loved it. One of my favorite movies, one of my first favorite movies of all time. And Look Who's Talking Too. I remember my parents bought this movie for me for Christmas, the VHS tape, and I was just so happy when I got this movie because I love it. I absolutely love part 2. Part 3 isn't as good as part 1 and 2, but it's still a great movie. More of the dogs. Looking for Comedy in the Muslim World. This movie's pretty funny. It's not really a movie. It's more like stand-up comedy. Albert Brooks goes to, I don't know where he goes. I guess he goes to different Muslim countries and tries to make them laugh. It's okay. Longest Yard. I love this movie. I love in the beginning how like the girlfriend's just a complete B word and Adam Sandler just takes the car out. He's on the news and he like destroys the car knowing that the B word girlfriend is it's going to piss her off. And then it's great. And then he ends up going to prison and being part of this football team. It's great. And Lost in America, another one of my favorite movies of all time. This is definitely one of my favorite movies. About a couple that's kind of not that good of a couple. It's kind of like they're always fighting. They end up going to Reno and like losing everything, losing all their money, and it kind of takes a toll on their relationship. Love this movie. This is one of my favorite Albert Brooks movies, for sure. Lottery Ticket. This movie's pretty stupid. I'm just being honest, but I like it. Little Bow Wow ends up winning like the winning lottery ticket, and then everyone wants to pretty much like be his friend and milk him for money and all that stuff. Pretty stupid. Lucas, kind of a family comedy movie. It's not that good, to be honest. Not something to talk about. Made is the same thing. Not really all that. Not something to talk about. Medea's Witness Protection. I kind of like the Medea movies, but they kind of got worse and worse as he started making more movies. In the beginning, the first 3 movies were great, but later on, I remember I didn't really like them. And these are like the pretty newer ones. I did like Medea's Christmas, though.